Coming up tonight on YCN News, a decision has been made regarding expansion at Mount Sunapee Resort. A fire at a home in Putney, Vermont has been deemed suspicious, and it looks like we could see some rain. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It is Thursday, April 16th. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. A decision is in regarding Mount Sunapee Resort's proposed West Bowl ski expansion. It can happen in exchange for the resort swapping 260 acres of resort land for a state park. Now, there's no provision for any private housing development via the expansion, and the state's extended by 10 years the lease held by the resort's current operators. It was a full house inside Veterans Hall in Newberry this morning, with proponents and opponents of the West Bowl gathered inside. Sitting along Commissioner of the state's Department of Economic Resources, Jeffrey Rose, were members of the Mount Sunapee Advisory Committee. Speaking after this morning's 45-minute meeting, Commissioner Rose explained what New Hampshire residents can take away from this decision.
I believe we brought forward a very thoughtful and very deliberate response to the MDP that was submitted by the Mount Sunapee Resort. I feel very confident that this will help improve the overall skier experience at the mountain. I think it'll also help add additional protections to the ecologically sensitive areas and the exemplary natural community that we have within this greater region. And I also think it does it in a way that will provide additional stimulus through our travel and tourism sectors and provide economic opportunity not only to the greater Sunapee region but to the overall state.
Today's announcement remains a draft proposal, meaning public comment is welcome and sought. Mount Sunapee Resort Vice President and General Manager Jay Gamble said this plan offers a lot to the region.
We're pleased with DRED's draft decision today. We think it strikes the right balance of conservation and recreation at Mount Sunapee. 260 acres of conservation lands will be donated to the state of New Hampshire to become part of Mount Sunapee State Park, but those acres will not be part of the ski area leasehold. They'll solely be donated to protect the Summit Highlands and the vista of Mount Sunapee in perpetuity, and then another 150 acres be added to the ski area to enhance the recreational experience.
Next month at the Mount Sunapee Resort Base Lodge in Newberry, a public hearing on the draft proposal announced today will give people more chances to be heard by the state officials. This meeting begins at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 5th. Meanwhile, to send comments regarding West Bowl expansion and lands added to preserve the state park at Sunapee, the email address is shown on the screen. Vermont State Fire Safety Investigator Paul Spicer and State Police Detective Sergeant Stephen Otis have determined the fire yesterday at a Putney home may have been purposely set. The fire at the home of 47 Houghton Road, owned by Carol Mazarin of Vero Beach, Florida, resulted in about $65,000 worth of damage. Neither the home's tenant nor any first responders were injured. As a result of the noontime blaze, anyone with information about the fire is asked to call the arson tip line or call state police at the Rockingham Barracks. The information can be seen on the screen. There's up to a $5,000 reward for information resulting in an arrest. Coming up on YCN News, e-cigarette use is going up among junior and senior high school students. It's Fair Housing Month in Vermont, and Mike Pizzone will bring you the latest in local sports and weather updates too.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. In Vermont news, Governor Peter Shumlin signed into law 2 housing protection bills. House Bill 123 ensures mobile home parks are safely maintained, and abandoned mobile homes can be dealt with fairly and expeditiously. Also enacted today was House Bill 256, which corrects and confirms protections against retaliation for exercising fair housing rights. With the 2 bill signings, Governor Shumlin today marked the anniversary of the Federal Fair Housing Act. He declared April Fair Housing Month. Shumlin said it is important that the state protect the right of Vermonters to live in safe and healthy communities, and these bills will do just that. Well, Vermont state officials are working to close the $100 million budget gap. Many ideas are on the table as lawmakers work to finish this legislative session next month. One idea is to bring more money into state coffers is meeting with resistance from the business community. A plan now under discussion would change or eliminate tax deductions now allowed, such as home mortgage interest, health care expenses, or charitable donations. That according to Vermont Public Radio. Business leaders say this could hurt the state's economy more than help it. There's a report issued today by the nation's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention about e-cigarette use among middle and high school students. Now, in 1 year, e-cigarette use by these youngsters and teenagers has tripled, and tobacco use among this age group is not declining. By the numbers, from 2013 to 2014, 660,000 high schoolers used e-cigarettes. In 2014, that number rose to 2 million students. Among middle school students for the same time period, use of e-cigarettes went from 120,000 to 450,000. The CDC report notes that this is the first time that e-cigarette use has surpassed current use of every other tobacco product, especially conventional cigarettes. E-cigarettes were the most used tobacco product for non-Hispanic whites, Hispanics, and non-Hispanic other race, while cigars were the most commonly used product among non-Hispanic blacks. More young people are smoking using hookahs, too. Per the report, CDC Director Tom Frieden says any form of nicotine is dangerous for kids of any age, whether it's an e-cigarette, a hookah, cigarette, or cigar. To read the report, you can just go to cdc.gov and click on the link. Coming up on YCN News, we'll find out what's new with the Hartford, Vermont Recreation Department. Elizabeth DeRazio has that interview when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, we haven't had much to complain about weather-wise this week, although it looks like we may be in store for some rain tomorrow. Clouds will begin to work their way into the area this evening, with temperatures bottoming out at about 37 degrees. Tomorrow will bring a 60% chance of showers, mainly before 11 a.m., with a high of 62 degrees and a low of about 42 tomorrow evening. Skies will begin to clear in the early morning hours Saturday, making for mostly sunny skies and a high of 62 degrees. Skies should remain relatively clear Saturday evening, with calm winds and a low of 37 degrees. Now let's take a look at our community calendar for some unique events in the area. The First Congressional Church in Walpole, New Hampshire will hold its spring rummage sale tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at its Washington Street location. Available items include spring and summer clothing. Visit walpolenhucc.org for more information. Village Square Booksellers in Bellows Falls, Vermont will host a River Voices Poetry open mic reading tomorrow at 6 p.m. The event is free and open to the public. Call the number on the screen for more information. The Springfield Community Farmers Market will hold its first preseason spring market on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the United Methodist Church on Valley Street in Springfield, Vermont. Call the number on the screen for more information. Like most teams in the area, the Kearsarge boys tennis team didn't get to spend much time outside these last couple weeks due to snow-covered courts. But the Cougars have showed no ill effects now that the regular season is underway, and that was especially evident during yesterday's home opener against Sanborn. Kearsarge made sure its showdown with Sanborn was anything but a nail-biter, winning its first 5 singles matches to clinch a drama-free victory in a 2-0 start to the season. The Cougars ended up sweeping singles play and won 2 of their 3 doubles matches to wrap up an 8-2 victory after having beaten Wilton Limeboro 5-4 on Monday. And Kearsarge didn't just win the majority of its matches, it won big. Tyler Valavic earned an 8-3 win at number 1 singles, while Charlie Bossy, Jack Van Etten, and Will Anderson each earned 8-1 wins at the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spots respectively. Things were a little closer lower down the ladder though, as Charlie O'Connor earned an 8-4 win at number 5 singles in what proved to be the win-clinching match, followed by an 8-6 victory by Matt Hubley in the 6th spot. Teammates Sam Borsier and Jimmy Preidecker won 8-0 at number 2 doubles, and Hunter Burns and Aaron Carson escaped with an 8-6 win in the 3rd doubles spot. I spoke with Captain Charlie Bossy after his match, who spoke to the importance of clinching the team victory in singles play and what his team needs to do to improve going forward.
If we can secure a win through our singles matches before we even play doubles, that's great. It's got it locked in, and if we don't, it's obviously a little bit more of a nail biter. We get to play through our doubles, makes it a little more intense play, but yeah, it's great when we can secure it early on. I think we really just need to get a little more time on court, get more practice time in, get the consistency of all of our shots together. It's really just like solidifying the team as a whole. That's our main goal, I'd say.
Kearsarge coach Whitey Jocelyn said he was thrilled with his team's 2-0 start to the season and its success yesterday despite abnormally windy conditions.
This is brand new for all of them, and the wind is it's a huge equalizer. The better players can make mistakes very easily in the wind too. So it's you got to run, you got to scramble, you got to just poop the balls in sometimes and control the ball in the wind. It's very, very difficult. You can see them all having trouble with serves.
The Cougars will head back into action Monday when it hosts Plymouth. There were a handful of other games yesterday as well, as both the Lebanon and Sunapee baseball teams came away with wins in their regular season debuts. The Raiders rallied back with 10 runs over the game's final 2 innings to erase a 3-0 deficit, while the Lakers capitalized on a go-ahead 2-run single from Hank Vincent in the 6th to cap off a back-and-forth contest. Our softball teams weren't quite as successful in their openers, with Lebanon, Kearsarge, and Sunapee all coming up a little short on the scoreboard. Samantha Dow led the Cougars with 3 triples in her team's narrow loss to Hopkinton, while sophomore pitcher Katie Frederick pitched well for the Lakers with 5 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. The Kearsarge girls lacrosse team earned a big win in its regular season opener, as both Eleanor Angus and Anna Stowell finished with 5 goals apiece for the visiting team. The Cougars will host John Stark on Monday. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. Capital Connections' John O'Connor brings us part 4 of an interview with District 2 Executive Counselor Colin Van Ostern when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.